Hello everyone. Today I'm going to be going over kind of the technical side of teaching piano from home. There are going to be two parts to this video, the first one being about how to set up your cameras and capture video, and the second part is going to be about how we set up our microphones and audio. For this video setup, the teacher has one camera for her hands so that her students can see her hands while she plays. She uses a second camera for her face so she can talk to her students in a more natural way. She also has what's called a ring light here, which she uses so that the camera can see her more easily. The cameras and the ring light are connected to her computer with a USB hub, which I'll explain later. The second part of this video will be about the audio setup. There are two microphones in this setup. The first one is used to capture the piano, and the second one is used to capture the teacher's voice. These two microphones are connected to what's called a USB audio interface. Now I'll explain the choice for both of the microphones and the audio interface, as well as cheaper alternatives in the next video. So now I'll shift over to the computer so I can show you how to set up your system so that your students can see both cameras at the same time. This will work in Zoom, Skype, or any other video conferencing platform that uses a webcam. Alright, so now that we're here on the computer, the first thing I'm going to do, and before I start, I'm going to give a disclaimer and say that everything that I show here, everything that I show only works, as far as I know, on the Windows 10 operating system. I'm sure there's a way to do picture-in-picture on the Mac. However, that's not what I have, so I can only show it for Windows. So now that that's out of the way and you have a Windows computer, we can start with the equipment. So the first piece of equipment you might want to consider is a USB hub. So if you have two webcams, and almost all webcams use USB. So if you have two webcams, but you don't have two USB ports on your computer, then you can buy one of these. It turns one USB port into three USB ports that you can plug your webcams into, or a ring light. Speaking of ring lights, this is the ring light that we use. It's $30. You can get them cheaper. It plugs into your computer via USB, and its only purpose is to light up your face so that your students can see it easier. If you have a room with a light behind you, it can make it harder for them to see you. So that's the reason why you don't want to get a ring light like this. In terms of cameras, there's multiple different routes you can go. This is one webcam, it's $45. This is what we use for the hands on the piano. Any webcam you choose will be good as long as it's 1080p like it says here, and it's USB, so it can easily connect to your computer. Here's another example of a webcam. It's a bit cheaper and it still works just as well. This is what we use for her face. And then if you wanted to go a more expensive route and get kind of a more premium product, here is this one's called the C920. It functions exactly the same, except it's a lot higher quality in terms of video. And then here's an even more expensive option, and it's going to look even better. For Zoom and Skype, any of these solutions would be fine. So now that we have our webcam, our two webcams, I should say, and a ring light if you choose to use it, and we've plugged them into our computer, either straight into the computer or using an audio a USB hub like one of these, we can now use it in a software called OBS. So I'm gonna go. You can just Google OBS. Go to their website. So I can do that right now. I can go to their website, and OBS stands for Open Broadcasting Software. You go to Windows, because that's what I'm using right now. It starts the download, and you can click it here. If it doesn't show up here and you don't know where it is, you don't know where your downloads folder is or anything like that, you can click these, and I'm on Chrome as my browser. You can go on the top right. You can click these three dots. You can press settings, search downloads. All right. And we see this is where my downloads are going. We can just go here on this bar in the bottom left. I can just paste that, and I'm in my downloads. My download is right here. I'm going to double click that. I'm going to hit yes. Get rid of these first. Click next, next, next. I'm just installing this software, and I'll show you what exactly it does in just a second. We're almost there. Okay, so now it's going to launch OBS. Okay, so there I am. However, when you first use OBS, it's gonna be a different. It's not gonna have your camera up there. So I'm gonna start a new profile, and it will look like this. This is what it'll look like right here. Actually, I'll delete these so that because I don't need them. So okay. So here's really the start off. Now the next step is going to be how we add our cameras onto this interface. It's really easy. So you go to sources, you hit the plus button right here, and you go to video capture device. You can label it, you don't necessarily have to. I'll just name it camera 1. Okay. And then it will open a dialog as to which camera you want to use. If you have 2 cameras, you choose them from here. So I have 2 cameras plugged in. I'll choose this one. You don't have to mess with any of these settings. Just click OK. So there's my first camera. If I want to add my second camera, I do the exact same thing. I hit plus. I go to video capture device. I'll name this camera 2. Okay. And I'll choose the next camera. Give it a second. There it is. Now that I have both cameras on this screen, I can resize the second camera so that it's either larger or smaller. In this case, I want it a lot smaller. I'll just click and drag one of the corners to make it smaller, and then I can click and drag the entire image to place it where I want. So let's say that's how I like it. Actually, I'll put it in front of the microphone. It's ugly. So this is how I like it. That might be your camera for your hands when you're playing the piano, and this might be your camera for your face. So let's say we wanted to have another one that looks different, where we have our hands in the main, like the hands are larger and the face is smaller. Well, that's really easy. So we can just hit plus and make a new scene. So now it's scene 3. I don't know what this one is. I'll get rid of it. So we have scene 3. And we'll do the exact same thing. We go to video capture device. And we can click add existing and then use one of these cameras because we've already added the cameras into the software. So I'll click camera 2. And I'll make it very large. And then I'll click camera, or I'll hit plus. Video capture device. I'll do camera 1. I'll shrink that. And here we are. So now we have these 2 different profiles, 2 different scenes. You can choose which one of these your student sees, and you can change them whenever you want to. You just do this by hitting the transition button. If you didn't want to have this app open, and you just wanted it to change just like that, the way you do it is you would go to settings, you would go to hotkeys on the left here, and you'd go to so quick transition is when you're switching between your scenes. You hit plus, and you click in this dialog, and you press your space bar. That's it. Apply. So now, just by hitting the space bar, oops, on my computer, I don't know what that's doing. Anyways, just by hitting the space bar on my computer, I can change between those two scenes. So, that's basically step one. Step two is how do we let our students see this? Because as it is right now, this is not what our students will see. They'll only be able to see one of our webcams. The solution is pretty straightforward, and all it requires is that you download one other application. This application is called OBS Virtual Cam. You can Google it, or I'll have the link somewhere. You go to, so here's the website. You go to Virtual Cam Windows Installer. I click it just like last time. Continue. Next. Next. You can just leave this at 1. You really don't need to change anything. And I hit finish. Okay. So now, once I've installed that, I have to close OBS and then open it back up. I close OBS and then I open it back up. I'll drag this in here. I'll wait for a second, wait for my cameras to come in. There they are. And I can transition just like before. Now, in order to have our students see this view, all we do is go to Tools and Virtual Cam. From here, you don't need to do anything except unclick horizontal flip. And I'll explain if that means later. And you hit start. Now my OBS right here is acting as a webcam. Whatever I see right here on the right side, or if I click this, whatever I just see right here, that's what my students are going to see. The way I set that up is I'm going to go to Zoom, and it should be somewhere on your desktop. I don't know where it is for mine, so I'll just go on the bottom. I just typed in Zoom. I go to Settings. I go to Video. Gotta give it a second. And then go to OBS Camera. And there we go. Now, whatever is in this, I'll hit Studio Mode so I can see both. Whatever is in this view, my students will see. If I hit Transition, or so if I select a scene and hit Transition, that's also what my students are going to see. That's basically it. There are a couple of things that you might need to change. For instance, if you have a camera for your piano, but the problem is that the camera is not facing the way it normally faces when you have a camera pointed towards you, maybe the image is flipped horizontally or flipped vertically the wrong way. It's really easy to fix that. So I go, let's pretend that this is my this camera is my piano camera. I right click it. I go to transform, and then I go to the bottom here and I can flip it horizontally or flip it vertically. So I'm going to flip it horizontally, and then I flipped. If you want to, for instance, make this transition a little cleaner between the two cameras, you can see that it's a little strange to have it just going from one camera to the other in the same screen. It looks a little strange. One way we can make that a little better is go here. I can just download, so you can search camera border. Sorry, it's webcam border. Go to any website, and you're basically looking for any of these. These are a bit strange looking. I'll just go for a gray one, so I'll search gray. Webcam border, I'll look for images. Okay, so this is a very basic webcam border, and I want to use this to basically be like a picture frame for my face. So I'll just click on this. I'll hit save image as, and I'll just hit save. So now, in OBS, I want to insert it just like one of my cameras. I'll go to sources, but instead of clicking video capture device, I'll click, where is it? Image. Doesn't matter what you name it, you're creating a new one. Hit browse. And then if you got it off of the internet, it should be in your downloads folder, which will be on the left here. Here it is right here. I hit open, and that's what it looks like. So now okay. Obviously, I need to change the positioning. I'll just snap it around here. And that makes it a lot better of a transition between the two cameras. So, thank you for watching. That's it for this video. I will probably be making another video about how to set up the audio in your setup, how to use multiple microphones with that, and what an audio interface is, what kind of microphones to use, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, I hope this helped in some way. I hope this improves your experience teaching your kids from home. I know it's hard, but I hope I can just make it a little better.